So, if you felt a sudden squeeze on your wallet lately, you are definitely not alone. It seems like overnight, a conflict happening thousands of miles away has sent these huge shockwaves through the global economy. And it's all starting with one of the most vital things on Earth: oil. Okay, let's dive in and unpack exactly what's going on and, more importantly, why it matters to you.
What's really stunning here is just how fast this all happened. I mean, look at this chart. For months, prices were kinda hanging out, relatively stable. But then, bam, you see this thing shoots almost straight up. This isn't just a normal market bounce. Analysts are calling this a historic spike. And to put that vertical line into perspective for you, prices jumped a staggering 11% in a single day. Now, even for the oil market, which is known for being pretty volatile, that kind of speed is shocking. It tells you something massive just broke in the global supply chain. Okay, let's talk real dollars, because that's what we all feel. Before this conflict kicked off, U.S. oil was trading at a manageable $67 a barrel. Then, in just a few hours, it peaked at an absolutely eye-watering $119. That is a massive leap that has put the entire market on edge.
So, what on earth caused this financial earthquake? Well, the answer lies in something called a choke point, one of the most strategically important and, right now, one of the most volatile places on the entire planet. Let's zoom in on the epicenter of this crisis.
This right here is the Strait of Hormuz. Now, it's a narrow, 20-mile-wide stretch of water. And get this, the shipping lanes are only 2 miles wide. But through that tiny passage flows a massive amount of the world's energy supply, every single day. It is the world's single most important oil transit choke point. And right now, that flow has basically ground to a halt.
And here's where it gets complicated, because the problem is really twofold. It's not just that the oil tankers can't get out. As this shows, the producers in the region are literally running out of room to store the oil they're still pumping. So with storage tanks overflowing, they have no choice. They have to slash production. And just like that, a shipping crisis becomes a full-blown supply crisis.
All this might feel like a distant geopolitical issue, but the economic ripple effects are already arriving. At your front door, at your gas station, and even in your supermarket. Let's break down the direct impact this is having on all of our household budgets.
The most immediate thing we all notice, of course, is the pain at the pump. The national average for a gallon of gas has jumped from around $2.98 before the conflict to nearly $3.50 now. That's the highest price we've seen since August of 2024, and it all happened in just over a week.
And it's not just about what you're paying to fill up your car either. The price of jet fuel has also skyrocketed. We're already hearing from the CEO of United Airlines, who's warning that this spike will almost certainly lead to higher ticket prices for air travel. But here's the hidden part of the story, the one that doesn't get as much attention. While we're all rightly focused on gasoline, diesel prices have jumped by an even larger percentage, a massive 24%, hitting a 3-year high. So why does that matter so much?
Well, because diesel is the fuel that runs the economy. It powers the trucks that deliver our goods, the trains that cross the country, the farm equipment that grows our food. So when diesel costs more, everything costs more. It's basically an invisible tax on nearly every single product you buy.
Okay, so with the global economy under very real threat, you can imagine leaders around the world are scrambling to find a way to stabilize this whole situation. But as the conflict escalates, their options are becoming more and more limited.
And the situation on the ground is just getting worse. A drone strike in Bahrain injured 32 civilians near key energy infrastructure. In response, Bahrain's national oil company has declared it just can't meet its delivery contracts. And all of this is happening while videos are surfacing showing a major refinery in the area on fire. This isn't just a blockade anymore. It's a direct assault on the energy supply chain.
And what's wild is this huge gap between the official messaging and what's actually happening in the markets. On one hand, you have the White House trying to calm everyone's nerves, calling this price spike a short-term glitch. But on the other hand, you talk to the traders who watch prices jump to nearly $120 overnight, and they're describing the feeling as borderline panic.
So what's the big idea on the table to fix this? The G7 nations are talking about a coordinated release of oil from their strategic reserves. These are basically government-controlled stockpiles saved for a true national emergency. Now, sure, this would probably offer some short-term price relief, but experts are warning it's a one-hit wonder. Why? Because using an emergency supply to manage prices is risky. It depletes a country's safety net against a future, possibly even worse crisis, and it does absolutely nothing to solve the real problem if the conflict drags on.
And all of this brings us to the most critical question of all. Is this just a temporary shock that the economy can shake off, or is it the trigger for something much, much more severe?
When one veteran oil trader was asked how high prices could go if the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, he gave a chillingly simple answer: the sky's the limit. And that, right there, really captures the profound uncertainty and fear that's gripping the market right now.
Ultimately, what this all comes down to is time. It's all about duration. If this whole disruption lasts for just a few more days, the economy might just register it as a blip on the radar. But if this thing drags on for weeks or longer, you're going to start hearing some very serious talk about a new recession.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question. As the entire world basically holds its breath, we all have to wonder, are we just watching a short, sharp economic shock play out, or are we standing on the precipice of the next global recession? The answer? Well, that's going to unfold in the days and weeks to come.